Hi everyone, how you doing? I'm Mark and this is episode 13 of Minecraft Stoneblock. As you can see, I have done a little cleanup around our main workshop. In fact, I'm going to do a little more. Get rid of those because we no longer need them. I have been sticking everything into our AE2 system. And I've also moved the terminals up to our sort of main workroom. This is the crafting terminal we built last time. I've also made the pattern terminal, which is going to let us get started with autocrafting, and the interface terminal, which lets us see what's connected to our AE system. There's not a lot there right now. There's a small crate, which is connected to the inscribers that we set up the episode or two ago, and a couple molecular assemblers that I set up downstairs. So, and those are ME interfaces connected to a cluster of molecular assemblers. I'll show you that in a minute. I have done some wiring and connected up a few more bits. I put a drawer controller on our tree farm here, and down below this, if I dig down a little bit, you can see that I've gone ahead and put a storage bus on that so we can access this from our ME system. And let me just fix up this floor. I kind of wanted to leave things open so I could show them. And oops, let's do that. I did the same thing over here. Connected up another storage bus to the slime trees, and wow, that was an unlocked drawer. See, this is what happens when you leave drawers unlocked. So I need to fix that real quick. Let me, oops, that's not where my key is. Well, I'm not going to fix it right now, but I will have to fix that because I really don't want that stuff in there. I can go ahead and close that up. Let's go downstairs. You can see that I've gone ahead and connected some cables to a new, larger, better ME controller. And there's the power acceptors in the middle, and there's a flux node underneath that. So it's powered, and it distributes power through all its cables, so everything is hooked up. This is just a dead end cable for the moment. And this cable I will show you when we go downstairs where that goes. This cable on this side is going upstairs to the 3 terminals, and it's also going to the 2 drawer controllers, the storage buses on the drawer controllers. So you can see that it's using 5 channels. And since channels are kind of a bad word for some people, they're really not that bad. Basically, dense cables let you transmit 32 channels, and regular cables transmit 8. So a dense cable can support 4 regular cables. And pretty much any device, storage bus, ME interface, import, export buses, all take a channel. And if you overload the channels on a cable, it goes dead. So really it's a balancing act of keeping your channels under control on specific cables. And there are ways around it. You can do subnets that are separate from the main network. And you can do point-to-point tunnels, which let you transmit a bunch of channels across a single small cable using I think it's using 1 channel, maybe 2. So there's plenty of ways to get around the limits. And every face of the controller gives us a set of 32 channels if we connect a dense cable to it. And you can, as you can see, you can color dense cables to keep them separate from each other. Colors won't connect. Whereas all cables of the same color or uncolored cables will connect. So that's what I've done down there. I've just used some colored cables to keep some channels separate. But given this controller size, I think we have over 500 channels to play with, which is going to be more than enough for this build. Let's go downstairs and I can show you where some of this other stuff is. So these are molecular assemblers. And the block in the middle there is a ME interface. And what these are going to let us do is autocrafting recipes. Molecular assemblers basically take a pattern and perform a craft that you could normally do in the crafting table. And the ME interfaces hold the crafting recipes that the molecular assemblers connected to them do. And each ME interface takes a channel, but the molecular assemblers themselves don't. And depending on how many crafting CPUs you have, you can a single ME interface can, a single crafter can control multiple molecular assemblers in parallel, which is why there's 4 per ME interface. And then over here we have 2 crafting storage units and crafters, and I can show you in the back. These are just these are what actually manage the crafting for auto crafting, and I've just built 2 for now. We'll probably add a couple more, and each of these has 2 coprocessors and what is that, 4 times 16, 6 times 16, which is 96K of crafting storage, which means they can do decent sized crafting recipes. I've also moved our drive storage up here, so they're all connected as well. And all told, this takes I don't have I thought I had smart cable here. Smart cable lets you see the channels that are in use. If we can we get that? No, we can't quite get the smart cable there. If I look at this, yeah, you can see it's 6 channels, which is 2 drive bays plus a crafter on each side. And even though the drive bays up there are empty, they still take a channel. The crafting monitor is going to let us watch what this crafter is doing at the moment. And it's just an easy way to monitor what's going on and watch for jobs that don't complete and things like that. So back here, we've already gotten, we had our inscriber setup plus our growth chamber setup, and I did change this up. I realized I could compact this a little bit and eliminate a couple of units that are interface and a storage import bus that we were going to use, basically duplicate here. So the big problem with putting the crystal growth chamber on the same connections as the inscriber is the output of the growth chamber, namely the pure Sodas quartz crystals, are inputs to I think it's the calculation press. Yeah, see, the calculation press uses the output of this. So it's relatively simple to fix. All I had to do was change the extraction rules for all these sort of final products to the brown channel, and they all go here, which is insert on brown, and everything else runs on green. So there's no crossover between our final products and the inputs that are going to the inscribers. So that saves us 2 channels, and saving channels is always good. The other thing I did is you'll notice that both these are powered with from the main AE2 system, but I put a quartz fiber here, and quartz fiber works just like a cable, except it does not transmit any channels. So this is giving these units power but not channels, which they don't need because they don't use any channels. But that's how you can set up a subnet using a single power source. So I also over here started to put some machines in. I made a pulverizer, induction smelter, and redstone furnace, and pulled a cable back here. This is connected up to the main system, and I can show you that. But it's not hooked up to anything right now, and I haven't really done all the work necessary over there. Stupid Enderman, come here. I'm really tired of them. So this is down below our controller. The controller's straight over my head, and you can see that these cables aren't really doing anything. This has 1 channel because that goes over to our main storage. This has 2 channels because it is going up to the ME interfaces that are connected to those molecular assemblers. So there's 2 ME interfaces there, so this is using 2 channels. This one is going to mirror the other side. I'm going to make 4 stacks of those eventually. And this is the 2 channels going over to our inscribers. So that's sort of where we are right now. But I don't really want to deal with cables and such online or while I'm recording because, it's putting cables down. It's not that exciting. So what I want to do right now is I want to get some autocrafting going. And we have a bunch of storage. We have a bunch of resources now that we can access easily. And as you can see, all our tree stuff is now available here. We've got the leaves, we've got the trees, we've got the sticks, we've got the string. And anything that we're producing, there should be some slime in here. Yeah, we've got all the slimes. So, a lot of resources available to us now. So, in order to autocraft, we need to make some patterns. And we should be able to make some blank patterns without a problem. So, these just need some quartz glass. They need some iron, some glowstone, and some pure Certus quartz. And I am going to... you can see there's our pattern. So the first pattern I want to make actually is the pattern to make patterns. And this is the pattern terminal. It does it basically copies a crafting recipe onto a pattern that you can then use elsewhere. And there's two kinds of patterns. There are patterns that do normal crafting recipes, and then there are patterns that do what are called processing patterns, which are basically things like if you put a nether quartz into the pulverizer, it will give you one crushed nether quartz. So you can do that kind of recipe with the processing pattern. We're not going to do that. For our first pattern, we're actually going to make the pattern for patterns. And obviously this isn't going to be completely trouble-free because we need the pure Certus quartz and we need the quartz glass. So those are the other patterns that we're going to make today. So I did go ahead and do the pure Certus quartz, and I am going to set that to not allow or dictionary because I don't want this to use the unrefined Certus quartz. So that is an encoded pattern. Now, doesn't do us much good until we put it somewhere. So now we can look at the interface terminal and those molecular assemblers downstairs that are connected to the ME interfaces. These two rows represent the ME interfaces. So if I stick this pattern in here, this ME interface can now use its connected molecular assemblers to make a pattern. And I don't know how many we're going to be able to make, but if I do pattern here, you can see we now have a crafting recipe for a blank pattern, and I'm going to try and make 10, and I don't know that we'll be able to because I'm not sure we have all the resources, but it will tell us we're missing some quartz glass. So quartz glass is the next thing that we should, let me just do 5. And if I do start, and then I do pattern here, you can see it instantly made 5 blank patterns for us. So I'm going to stick these over here, and I am going to make the recipe for quartz glass. And quartz glass we make from plain glass, and we make it from crushed quartz. So I am going to do this. And that's going to give us our plain glass and our nether quartz dust recipe. And I'm going to encode that. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to stick it here. And as you can see, you take these out, they're encoded patterns, icons. You put them in and you can see what's being crafted here. And actually, I'm going to do that because if we request blank patterns, that means that this molecular assembler is going to get tied up making blank patterns. And if it needs quartz glass, it can request it, and then this molecular assembler set can go ahead and make that for us. So if I go ahead now and do pattern and try and craft it, I'm going to try and craft 5, which we know won't work. And it's going to go ahead and tell you what's available. and it's going to tell you what it's crafting, and it's going to tell you that it's also going to craft some quartz glass for us. So if we were downstairs, we could actually see the crafter window on those two crafting processors doing the work and showing us that the work was going on. So I'm going to stick these in here. Really, I think the next thing we need to do is probably go ahead and... Oh, I know what I can do. This will be fairly straightforward. We need to craft our processors. So I made a bunch of processors, but we obviously want to craft those automatically. So redstone, and these are going to be... oops, I don't need 3 stacks. These are going to be processor patterns. Because remember, we're just dumping random ingredients in. So we need one of each processor. And then we need some silicon. And we really only need 1 silicon and 1 redstone. And then we need the remaining ingredients for these recipes. And that is diamonds. And gold. And pure Certus quartz. So the first recipe, let's go ahead and do the calculation processor. We set this to processing pattern, and we stick 1 pure Certus quartz, 1 silicon, and 1 redstone. Recall that's the ingredients we need to make this using our system downstairs. We stick that in, and we make this encoded pattern. And I'm going to go ahead and do the rest of these. So we put that there, and we put that there. Change the pattern. We encode another one. We do the same for gold. We encode that. And we do the same thing here. We go into our interface terminal, and this time we put the patterns in the small storage crate, which I happen to know is connected to that processor array. Now we're also going to do recipes for Fluix crystals, and we have the pure Fluix, pure Certus, and pure nether quartz. I'm not going to do those right now because they're going to take a couple steps, but let's go ahead and test this. First, let's go look at it downstairs. We go look at this. You can see this is the ME interface, and there are patterns that are in here already. And if we go upstairs, I'm gonna request actually a bunch of recipes. Since these are not particularly fast, I'm gonna request. We only have 27 calculation processors, so let me just look at craftable. Let me go ahead and I'm going to request like 20 of these. I hope I have enough materials on hand. I do. So if I start this and we go downstairs real quick, you can see there's our process running on this crafting processor. And it's going to sit here, and you can see it's already starting to get processors back. So that's counting down how many are left to process. So there, in a nutshell, is autocrafting up and running. And what I usually like to do is take care of some of the basics of autocrafting first. I like to be able to make the components that I'm using for all the AE2 stuff, which means cables and dense cables and covered cables and smart cables. I don't really care about the colored ones so much because they're easy to dye, but I want to get the autocrafting done for all of those base cables, and I also want to increase our autocrafting capabilities by adding more molecular interfaces or molecular assemblers and ME interfaces. So I am going to go away for a bit, and I'm going to add some more processing and come up with a another project to take care of in this episode. So I'll be back in a minute. So I went downstairs and I hooked up our pulverizer that I showed you quickly to the AE2 system. So now we have an entry for the pulverizer here, and I am going to make a pattern to make nether quartz dust, because that is one of the ingredients for our quartz glass, and I am going to stick this in here and I will show you how that works out, just to make sure it's clear how these all work. So this is our main cable, and you can see there are two channels getting used on that. I hooked up a ME interface to the back of the pulverizer, and the pulverizer has the inputs set to come from the back and the outputs set to go out the bottom. And all these machines are configured in the same way. They're all getting power because I ran a set of energy conduits along the bottom. I added a flux point, and I also added a set of EnderIO item ducts here that are going to do the work of pulling our resources into this chest. And here is our import bus that's going to bring our finished products back into our AE2 system. So the reason to do this kind of collection system is, if you don't use a collector like this, you end up with two interfaces per device. You need a way to get the ingredients to the device, and then a way to get the ingredients out of the device. Which just, instead of using 4 channels here, we'd be using 6. And if I put 3 more machines up there, that's another 6 instead of another 3 channels. So it just saves us a bunch of channels. And I might have to rearrange this a little bit just to get our channels laid out. I'd probably end up running this import bus along this side instead, just so I can bring item conduits down and power conduits up. So that's how it works. And if we look in this ME interface, you can see there's our encoded pattern. So if we go back upstairs to our terminal, we will be able to request crush nether quartz. And if I do nether quartz, you can see we have 103. So if I get rid of those, I have to look at that. I'm not sure why those are stuck in there. I thought I set those up for crafting. We took out all the crushed nether quartz that was in there, or nether quartz dust, I guess. So if I want to craft more, I can just say, craft 60. And we have 60 available. It's going to craft 60. And if we wait here, we should, knock wood, start seeing nether quartz dust. Yes? No? That looks like something went wrong. Let's see what's going on. Yeah, you think you're crafting 60. I probably set an interface wrong. It is not pulling items out of the bottom. Did I not set that to extract? It is a little tricky to access some of these. Let me do that and the up interface and, not insert, extract. There we go. Now it's pulling out. So now if we go back and we get there quickly enough, we can see that our processor will show progress. And it is slowly counting down. And again, as usual, we can speed up all these processes by upgrading our machines and upgrading the interfaces that we're using. But this will eventually run through and give us all our nether quartz. Oops. So now, if we look at the recipes we can craft quartz glass and we can craft nether quartz dust. We can't craft, and nether quartz we have a supply, which actually I should mention, because I noticed we were running out of nether quartz. And the reason we're running out of nether quartz is because it's not something that we can sift. So even though we have chickens to make nether quartz, we can't use them because that violates our sifting rule. So I went ahead and made nether quartz essence, seeds, and somewhere, there they are, we have nether quartz essence being made, and that is going to, in theory, go back into one of these crafters. I think it's this one. Okay. But for some reason, I think I probably just neglected to set. Yeah, I did. So we can set that to insert and always active. And we should start getting, yeah, there we go. There we go. Now nether quartz is being produced. That's what I was wondering. I wasn't sure where our nether quartz is going. So that gives us our nether quartz production. So the next thing I want to automate is probably the seeds. And the seeds, let's go ahead and do the nether quartz seeds since we can make the dust we need. Clear that. We need to make pure nether quartz crystals. And actually, we need 1 dust. No, not 64 dust. We need 1 dust, and we need 1 sand. And I'm doing this wrong. So, a crafting pattern of 1 sand and 1 dust gives us 2 nether quartz seeds, right? So that is just a crafting recipe, and that can go pretty much anywhere. It really should go in a separate thing because it's part of the production chain for encoded patterns, but we'll stick it there for now. So then to make pure nether quartz, 1 seed, I'm going to go ahead and craft 10 of these. If we look, we have 10 seeds. So 1 seed, I'm going to clear this, and I'm going to make a processing pattern because this is going to use our growth chamber downstairs. We get from 1 nether quartz seed, we get 1 pure nether quartz crystal, right? And that is an encoded pattern that goes in the small chest, small storage crate. So now, if we request pure nether quartz, let's go ahead and request 60. So that's going to make 60 seeds, and well, it's going to make 59 or 51 seeds because we already have 9 in the system. And it's also then going to feed them all to the growth chamber through the small crate. So let's go ahead and make this, and you can see we have everything we need. And it is going to round up because it has to make seeds 2 at a time. No. Ooh, I did this wrong. See, this is the problem of processing recipes is, no, that is right. 1 seed makes 1 crystal. Sorry, I thought I was backwards. I'm going to go ahead and make 100. And if we hop downstairs fast enough, probably not. Let's, yeah, see, the other processor was probably making the seeds, but that was near instantaneous. So this processor is now making the crystals in the growth chamber. And if we go over here and look in our small storage crate, there's nothing there, but the growth chamber has all the seeds and they're growing. And that's probably 25 sets. So just to verify that everything works, I'm going to wait a minute and let this all grow. Okay, that's empty. The processor thinks it's done. Not quite, because it's still emptying our input chest, which we should go ahead and put a speed upgrade on. Okay, now we're done. So if we go up and look at nether quartz, we have 100 pure nether quartz crystals. So our crafting is working. All we need to do is expand the recipes. And our machines are working over there too, so we can expand those recipes out and get some of the basic stuff out of the way so we can make some more complex machines. So I think that's a good wrapping up point. We didn't get a ton of stuff done. I guess we should look at how we're doing on mob chunks. We have a lot of mob chunks. So I actually did turn this off because it broke one set of those Solium daggers, and so I made another set and it broke the other set too. So, you know, it goes through those pretty quickly as I expected. I suppose I could enchant those and probably get better returns, but I don't need a ton of these, so I'm fine with leaving it off for now. Oh, I guess the last thing we should do before we leave for the day is do our quests, because we did complete some quests in storage. And we did make the 4K power cells, and we made the 16K or power cell storage cells. And today I made a bunch of the 64K cells. Remember, we've gotten rewards of 64K storage components, so all I had to do was make the casings and we were good to go. So let's see if the random number generator gods are kind to us today. Growth crystal, blacker lotuses, viaducts, and this is one that we didn't open last episode, flask of fleet feet. So, no, we continue to get stumped on all our quest rewards, which is depressing. But all that means is we have to make our own Skullfire sword. But that's down the road a bit. So anyhow, that is a good wrapping up point. I think I'll call it there. Next time I am probably going to make cobblestone. I want to make a cobblestone compressor system, because one of the things I want to do eventually is finish off all the quests, but I also want to get to the deep dark and the mining dimension just for fun. And if we look at blaze rods, you see we have 118, so we're getting blaze rods at a slow but steady pace. I'm going to go ahead and make some more get some more autocrafting taken care of. I'll finish hooking up the machines that are down there so we can take care of basic smelting and alloying. And that'll get us a good start on the basics of autocrafting. I'll probably also add some more molecular assemblers. And in fact, I will probably automate molecular assemblers and ME interfaces as autocrafting recipes, because we'll make many of those. So I'm going to call it there. Thanks for watching. As always, if you have any suggestions or have something you want to see, have a question, feel free to leave me a comment. Likes and subscriptions are always appreciated. Hope you have a great day, and I hope you enjoyed the episode. Thanks again. Bye.